What if you possessed the untapped potential to create extraordinary change, not only in your own life, but also in the lives of others, and embark on a transformative journey that will shape the way you look at your present and envision your future? You are a leader, a change maker. You have received many awards. You have been nominated for many more. So you were named the 2021 Woman Canada's Most Powerful Woman, nominated for the top 25 Canadian Immigrants Awards, just to mention a few, right? Because we
Mhm.
know the list is quite long.
Yes.
Let me ask you this question though.
Mhm.
Who are you outside of work?
Such a good question. I'm a mother. First and foremost, I'm a mother of two amazing young women who I feel that they make me work really hard for. They inspire me, they motivate me. So, first and foremost, I'm a mother. I'm a friend. I'm also very curious about life. That's who I am. And for the most part, that's who I am.
You wrote, "Every day is my best shot at living my best life unapologetically."
Yes.
I would like to come back to a period of your life that wasn't that easy, right? You
Hmm.
escaped an abusive relationship. You lived in a shelter for 3 months with your two kids
Hmm.
until one day your oldest daughter said, "Mommy, when I grow up,
Yes.
I want to be just like you."
This is why I said earlier I'm a mother and my kids inspire me, is because when I know that they say certain things and they watch me, I feel like I need to live my best life if I want them to live their best life, right? So, yeah,
That's very
that's
true because your kids look up to you.
hmm yes, they do.
And so who were you looking up to when you were a little girl? Who were your role
Ooh,
models?
that's a really good question. So, my role model was my grandmother. She
Oh,
was someone that has been, I feel like, even though she did not have an education, she was born early 1900s, like very, um, she did not have access to education or certain opportunities, but she was very smart and very ambitious. So, and she always pushed me to be ambitious and to basically live my best life. And she used to say certain things to me. I remember growing up almost on a daily basis. She would say, Donna, you're born to be somebody. So, every single time I would have a challenge or a barrier, I remember her words. I was born to be somebody. This is what my grandma said. But this moment right here doesn't really make me feel like I'm somebody, which means I can go over this. I can overcome this challenge or this barrier, and I can be somebody, right?
yeah.
So, while you said, yes, I was homeless. I had to live in a abusive women's shelter. But before that, I was actually homeless two times before that. So coming to Canada has been a lot of barriers and challenges that I had to overcome. Like coming to Canada, I remember this day 29 years ago, being on a plane and thinking like, wow, the land of opportunities and so many things that I could do. And to be honest with you, even through the worst moments in my life, I still had that, I kept that feeling within me that I'm here for opportunities. I'm here to live my best life. I'm here for better life. I'm here to do better. And that kept me going. Right. So, uh, as a new immigrant, and I'm sure a lot of people that come to Canada, for them, you come with your dreams, your aspirations, and you want to do better. And I know people that come in older, you think I might not have an opportunity for me, but is there anything that I can do to create opportunities for my children? So
Yeah.
for me, I felt like, when I'm going through all these barriers, I have to push hard, but it's not just for me, but also for my children too. So this has been something that's motivated me. And again, it's just remember the times when going through not having enough money to pay for rent, being on welfare, getting the education. The one thing that I found really, I don't even have the word for this, but for me, the reason why I do what I do today, is because I always look at my younger self and I feel like the one thing that I didn't have was this really small piece of information, which is not knowing that I can pay for school or I can actually get OSAP to go to post secondary. I had no idea that that's an option. I thought this is only for people that have money and they can go to get an education. And I thought, there goes my dream of getting education in Canada. And so only until one day somebody said, you can apply for OSAP and you can actually go to school. And that held me back 13 years in
Wow.
Canada, 13 years. So that one piece of information. And yeah, this is that's like remember with my grandmother's words, like, I'm born to be somebody. I'm born to do something with my life. And then when things come and, I always believe that they will happen, I always
Mm-hmm.
believe that when that happens, like when I am going through something, I am going to overcome this. So getting education, escaping homelessness, low income, getting opportunities, finding stuff. And another, I would say, thing that I realized that really helpful when going through all of this, and what inspired me or who inspired me was the people around me. Having the right people around me and people that actually are doing things that I already like. They're already doing the things that I want to do. You know, it's what motivated me to, and I felt like I could do it too. I was like, well, if this person can do it, I can do it too. So just trying to figure it out. How do I make it happen? So basically that's what keeps me going, and that's what inspires me.
Wow, and all of this coming, from having an inspiring and strong and beautiful grandmother. This is
Yes.
amazing. And oftentimes on this podcast, when I ask this question, the grandparents, either the parent, but often the grandparent come
Hmm.
back often, right?
Hmm.
Because they are like real figure that we look up to. And
Hmm.
as I'm listening to your story, I can clearly identify two things. First of all, is resilience,
Right.
100%, but also, following your gut, because you had that gut feeling
Hmm.
that, okay, you could do it, you could find a way out, you could overcome those challenges. You had this gut feeling all the way, all the time with you, and you kept listening to your gut feeling. And I really like that, and I think it's very important, because a lot of us, a lot of people, and especially women,
Hmm.
tend to ignore that inner voice. They tend to ignore that gut feeling because we don't trust ourselves enough.
Right. And I think that has a lot to do with how we are raised as young women, right? If I wouldn't have had someone like my grandmother to instill in me that I was born to be somebody, you know, it would have been confusing to be out there in situations where it's challenging because I didn't have somebody to tell me that I can actually do it, because for me her words would be like, yeah, I can do this, I can overcome this, right? And that was the instinct. And something that I hear a lot of people talk how when you go through a challenge, or you go to a room, or where you go to do something in your life, how you bring your ancestors with you. So I feel like my ancestor, my grandmother, was there with me, and, telling me in my ear, like, remember, you were born to be somebody. Remember, you can do this. Remember, So that's what you know. That's what pushed me through.
And so, if I would ask your loved ones to describe you using three words, what would
Mm,
that be?
okay, resilient will be one of them.
Definitely.
Yes, my work ethic is unmatched.
I like
If
that.
I need to do something and I put my mind to it, I make it happen. My work ethic is unmatched. And also, I'm a good mother. I keep on hearing that a lot, and sometimes I feel like, am I really? I feel like, what if? Because that has also been my biggest fear, like coming here in Canada and not having a network, not having a support. Can I do this? And if I fail at this, it's not like you can go back, right?
Yeah.
So that has been my biggest fear. So I work so hard to be the best mom that I can be, you know.
You mentioned something very important also earlier. You said it took you 13 years in Canada to get access to one piece of information.
Hmm.
And again, I often say the access to information is key. You don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
It is a fact, but you
Mm-hmm.
need to work smart and strategically in order to surround yourself with the right people. You said it. You didn't have a
Yes.
network, right? I didn't either. And so, but
Mm-hmm.
when you learn that you need to surround yourself with the right people, meaning the people who can give you access to the information that will help you build the life you envision for yourself, that with those information that will give you access to opportunities, this is
Mm-hmm.
a game changer. This is a life
Mm-hmm.
changer.
Yes. And
And
you know, as a piece of advice, something that I learned from being in Canada for 29 years, basically my entire adult life, it's that you have the right people that can give you the information. But the most important thing is to understand, to get that information from the source, meaning that you can have people around you and they may have the best intentions to give you the best advice.
mm,
However, they may not know exactly what actually you need. So what I learned is if I need something, especially with the let's take the post secondary education for me. I kept on asking people around me about going to school instead of going to the people that actually do the acceptance. Like let's just go into there and ask them, right? Because I feel like I need to ask the people around me. They should tell me. But no, if you understand like who has the actual information, the source, then you get that from them. And because they will give you the information that pertains to you. And sometimes you can get information from people and again they have the best intentions, but they share information that they have
mhm,
used that was good or bad for their particular situation. And sometimes people project their insecurities onto you,
true.
right? And that's why it's important to go straight to the source. Because somebody that couldn't do it, it doesn't mean that you cannot do it, right? For me, it
Very
was like a lot of people told me, no, you can't really go to school because, you need to have money, you need to do this. I should have gone to the source and asked. But, that was a 13-year lesson, 13-year lesson, right? So,
a
yeah,
long lesson to learn, but a
yes,
very powerful one indeed.
absolutely.
And so, talking about lessons learned, leadership is a continuous learning process, right?
Hmm.
And successful leaders often find inspiration and insights from various sources. And this is exactly what we are talking about. Um, can you tell us a little bit more? How do you ensure that you stay relevant in this forever, ever changing environment, especially now that we know what was true 6 months from now is no longer true now, today?
Hmm.
It will probably won't be true six, like,
Hmm.
a couple of years from now. So, um, how do you stay relevant? How do you ensure that the impact that you want to have on people, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later,
Hmm.
about the impact that you are having on people through your different initiatives and organizations, how do you ensure that you build out something that is relevant to what people need?
One, I listen to myself, to my instinct. My instinct is so powerful. And I go there first. If it feels right to me, I pursue it. If it doesn't, then I won't. I learned the hard way. I listen to other people and they say you have to do this and you have to do that, and that's great, but then it just didn't really work. So I listen to myself first and foremost. That's super important to me. Then, if I want to create impact or if I want to be relevant to a particular situation, I figure out who the people that would be impacted by this are, and I want to ask them so that they can tell me how can I support, how can I help. um, this is such a very short question. How can I help? What can I do? It's super important, right? And then people can tell you how you can help them and what you can do. um, but first and foremost, I do listen to my instinct because they are, like, as an example, when I started Revolution, I knew I had this fire in me that this needs to be done, right? One, because I come from the social work background. I have zero STEM experience. I didn't know anything about STEM. But having been in the system, like having dependent on welfare and being homeless, being new to Canada, having being low income and having my own barriers, and then working as a social worker with people that were low income, new to Canada, escaping domestic violence and all of the same similar issues that I've been through. Opportunities like STEM education was not available. And then
Mm-hmm.
I go into learning about this. Somehow I feel like, we all put in a path where we're supposed to be. Sometimes when we're there, we don't realize why we're in certain situations. And in my case, it's like, why am I here learning about technology? Oh, yes, because I'm actually supposed to understand that there's a gap, there's a gender gap in STEM. And when I used to hear a lot about this, the gender gap in STEM, and I'm thinking, I came to Canada and I was 19 years old when I came here. So I would have had so many opportunities to learn. I think I would have been an engineer if I would have given the opportunity, but I didn't know anything about this stuff, right? So, like I said, it took me 13 years to realize I can go to post secondary. So then, being low income, and none of these opportunities was presented to me as someone in the system or as someone that working with someone in the system. Yet those skills, like the STEM skills, are crucial to the landing a job. And so now I've thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice if someone would create an organization to create opportunities for people that generally don't know about this stuff so that they can get into STEM? Because if you keep on talking to the same audience and they're done hearing about this and they're still not interested, it means those are not the right people. Like, you're not going to change anything, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to shift and you have to have conversation with people that might be interested, but yet they have the barriers and not being able to pay for something like this, or not understanding what the possibilities are. So my luck came that when my mentor was like, well, you should be doing this because you know what it's like to not have opportunities. And I was doing social media consulting and social media marketing at that time, that I taught myself. And then my mentor was like, you kind of automatically in technology, you don't have the actual training on this, but you know what you're doing, so you should be doing this. And this is why I decided to create the organization, because sometimes we have to look at what's missing and to create
Mm-hmm.
that you know
Yes. And I think this is, a common trait of your life and career, going after what you want, and being
mhm
able to, be inspired by your own lived experience in order to
mhm
create organizations, initiatives that would support others. And you have achieved remarkable success throughout your career. And, especially with her Volution. So
mhm
for those of you who may not know her Volution, basically it's an organization recognized for empowering young women in STEM. And you also, in parallel, have a financial literacy practice, because you realize that that
yes
was a need. And
yes
I'm pretty sure, being an immigrant woman as well, I came to
mhm
Canada 10, 12 years ago, where financial literacy wasn't even
yes
a thing, right? And it took me a decade, really.
mhm
It was a long lesson as well, very long, to
yeah
understand what financial literacy is, and to understand that I needed to understand that I didn't have a money with the relationship. So I had to
right
build that relationship with money, and understanding what can be done in this country
mhm
in order to, build the life again I had envisioned for myself, and, for my
yeah
family. And so, what embarked you on this journey? How did you navigate the challenges along with becoming a catalyst for change? Because you are a catalyst for change. You don't,
thank you
I can see you don't do. There are a lot of people out there doing a lot of things, and a lot of unnecessary things, right?
mhm
Let's put it that way. We're very transparent here, no BS conversation. But
yes
in everything that you have been building, you were focusing on real needs, and you were
mhm
able to identify, real gaps. Again, women in
mhm
STEM, the gender pay gap in STEM, so technology. science and technology and mathematics. And now, there is a need, there is a growing population of immigrants in Canada. And so there is a growing need
Mm.
for financial literacy. What inspires you, like, to embark on those journeys, making an impact and being a catalyst for real change?
Thank you for that. To be honest with you, I feel like, again, I'm going back to my grandmother's words. I was born to be somebody. And I feel like for me, I took it literally that I was born to be somebody to do something with my life. And I remember even as a child, I wanted to be either a teacher or a lawyer. Um, I thought it would be an interesting thing to, to make the world better. I wanted to become a lawyer because I've seen the um, like growing up in Romania where women were treated the way that they were treated. So I wanted to make an impact in that area. I wanted, as a woman myself, and I thought if I'm able to have daughters, I want them to have better life. And I wanted to create that change there. But I couldn't become a lawyer. I didn't become a teacher. And I created something like Revolution to create change that way, to break barriers that way. And then when it comes to the financial literacy, I got my license because I realized that there's so many people that are stuck, and it started with myself too. Like I was in debt, low income, and the only thing that got me from that situation to where I am now was understanding how money works.
Yeah.
It's not about how much money you make; it's about
Mhm.
what you do with the money. And I felt that there's so many people do not have that education, and if we are to, and especially to educate women about money, right? They are the providers of the households. They get to support the household financially when you think about it. So I wanted to get my license so I can be able to teach as many women as possible how money works and how can they become financially sustainable. And it's just, it's also an empowering thing, uh, i I find that it's so, to me, it's so rewarding to see that I can talk to a woman especially and have that financial literacy education session with them, and they get to see, wow, now I can actually change my life. Now I can actually support my children. Now I can actually build wealth for my children. I can do something to change their life as well. So this is what gets me to make an impact that way. It's I feel like I put on this earth. God brought me here to to you know and I have to say that I consider myself lucky to have been able to have found my purpose, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of times we do stuff, we don't know what our purpose is. So we keep on doing things instead of actually taking time to listen to ourselves first, find what our purpose is, and then lead with that. So for me, it's like, I know I want to serve people. Know I want to make their life better. So while I get paid and pay my bills, I want people to be able to get paid and pay their bills too.
Mm.
It's like it's and to be honest with you, and I'm saying this with a very, in a very honest way, is that when I started Revolution, I wasn't making a lot of money doing it. And I've had opportunities, like people will say, I'll pay you 5 times more than what you make now. And I said, well, what matters to me? You know, is it making money right now or doing something, to leave the world a better place? How
Mhm.
can I do that? And then the same with the financial literacy, I'm the same way. It's like, how can I do this so that we can both be successful, right? Me as your financial advisor and you as my client. you
Mhm.
know it's if we're both successful, then I feel like I'm doing something that matters, and it helps me sleep at night.
And this is how you are building your legacy,
Yeah.
right?
Speaking of that, actually, if somebody asked me before, what do you want from life? What do you want? Like, what is it that you want? And I said, I want to live forever. And they're like, yeah,
Mhm.
that's impossible because, eventually you're going to die. I'm like, no. The thing is, though, is the work that you do and you impact in people's lives, you're going to live in their life and you impact in their children's lives and their children's lives, and that's the way to live forever, making an impact. To me,
That
that's my way of living forever.
and that's very true. And if we look at the the practicality of it. You know,
Mhm.
creating change requires collaboration,
Mhm.
and most importantly, the ability to, you know, rally others around your vision. So
Mhm.
how have you effectively communicated your mission to diverse stakeholders, um, and what strategies have you employed to inspire and mobilize individuals to join your cause?
Mm. I honestly, I have been very transparent about my story. This is where I come from, you know. So if I am to talk to, let's say, some youth that might be interested in joining the programs, right, at Revolution, I share my story. I've been there. I know this is a, you know, this is a great opportunity. Like I'm just like you know, I was low income, I was homeless, or, you know, I lived on, you know, I depended on food bank. You know, I've been there, so to speak. So I'm coming from the level where you are. And, you know, I am where I am today. And I like to say I haven't achieved success because this is a lifelong process for me. But you know, I achieved a couple of things you know, and I want to make sure that I want to see, you know, I can help you do the same, right? When I speak to stakeholders like partners, for example, again, because some people have this misconception, for example, that, and I've heard this before, that, oh well, if I'm not gonna support what you do because I don't invest in poor people, for example. And I was like, you're looking at someone that was poor. You're looking at someone that was homeless. You're looking at someone that depended on welfare, food bank, and you know, did all this. So I got to where I am today because I wasn't poor because I wanted to be poor. I didn't get homeless. I didn't become homeless because I wanted to be there, or because I was lazy. It's because of the circumstances. But sometimes when you work with giving people opportunities, they're able to come out
Mhm.
those opportunities. They just need someone to help break those barriers for them so they can just pass over. That's what it is, you know. And the same thing when it comes to financial literacy. I find, to be honest with you, I've I've um, I've worked with women entrepreneurs in the past, and every time I feel like we talk about money, sometimes women don't feel comfortable talking about money. So I like to share my story. I was in debt, and the only thing that helped me was being honest with myself and talking to a financial advisor to help me create a plan and follow that plan to get me out of debt, you know. And that's why, like, I think sharing my story, right, like being transparent about where I was and where I am. I don't come from the place where I'm here because if I help you I make money, right? I'm
Mhm.
here because I really want to help you, because that's what matters to me right now, you know. And that's where I
That's
come from, in every single circumstance.
and that's powerful, and you know, there is power in your story. Your power lies in your story. And
Mm-hmm.
you will notice that a lot of the most successful leaders and entrepreneurs, they rally people around them because of their stories, because people, they find them inspiring, because they can relate to them, because, you know, they can connect with them on an emotional level. And as you said, you know, I've been there, I've been through
Mm-hmm.
everything, I understand what you are going through. So
Mm-hmm.
if I did it, you can do it too. You are creating, and you are building, and you are impacting others from a place of experience. And your
Mm-hmm.
story is the canal that allows you to communicate that experience to others. And I think it's very smart. And I wish, you know, more of us would use and share our stories. There is
Mm-hmm.
nothing to be ashamed of. The good, the bad,
Yeah.
the ugly, everything in between, this is part of who we are. And
Mm-hmm.
those moments have allowed us to become the leader we are today, the woman
Mm-hmm.
we are today. So why would you hide it, right? There
Mm-hmm.
is this misconception, especially in the era of social media, where you have to portray an image of perfection and great
Mm.
success. And but you cannot fool us. We know what's happening behind closed doors, because we are
Yeah.
all going through the same challenges, the same life at different levels, of course,
Mm-hmm.
with more or less obstacles. But at the end of the day, we know that it's not every day rosy and bubbly. So share
Yeah.
your pain, share your story. This is where your strength is.
Right. I find it so many times that I meet people on, Instagram, and I used to be on Twitter a lot, and, go on Twitch chats and participate and stuff, connect with people. And then we have get together. So they're like, wow, wait a minute, you're the exact same way as you are online, like you're in person the same way. And I'm like, well, who else? How else would I be? I don't know any other way to be, because that's a lot of work to be able to be two people, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. And yes, you're right. It's important, I think, for us to recognize that the more we share our stories, like the real stories of who we are, the more we get to build our tribe, because we get to meet people that are like us,
Yeah.
and we can identify with their story. They can identify with our story, and then we can create a support system for each other, and we get to support each other more, because there's it's so liberating to be able to be who you are and find your people that way, versus being fake, and
Right.
people come to you because they think you are this person, and there's a lot of uh, friction, right? The energy doesn't align when you have that, and it's hard to even succeed in life,
Yeah.
right? If you don't, it's just so much work as well, right? It's like, how do you be two people? It's hard to be two people. It's hard
So
enough to be one person.
exactly. So much hard work and energy trying to be different people, at least
Yeah,
two people. Be yourself. This is your best shot. So,
yeah.
Doina, thank you so much for your willingness to share your story and in all its aspects. That was very empowering and very powerful. If there was one word you would like to share with our audience, what would that be?
It's going to be two words: be yourself.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
You take care, you stay safe, and I will see you next week. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.